I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Recreation Committee. And Jean Materney, call to order.
Oh, second.
And Jonathan Smith.
Here.
And a little bit out of order, but we're going to go to the Pledge of Allegiance now. If everybody can stand. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'll add Deborah Bourne to that roll call. On the approval of the administration report for April 13th. And let's see. I move to approve the administration's report for the meeting of April 13th, 2021.
I'll second the minutes.
Okay. And before we move along, I did want to have one question. Did all committee members receive a copy of the administration's report?
Yeah.
You did? You did?
I got it. Okay, got minutes.
Okay. I do have one thing that I wanted to make mention of. I know I said at the last council, or the last recreation committee meeting, I reported on the PrAC members, and Will Harbauer was not mentioned as recording secretary. So I noticed that was omitted from the minutes, and wanted to make a correction on that if I could.
I don't have an issue with passing the minutes as corrected.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And moving along. Citizen concerns. Do we have any citizen concerns?
Your mic on.
Oh, any citizen concerns? Can you hear me better?
Not much.
Well, I don't know what to do about it. Can you hear me now?
A little better.
Okay. Seeing that we have no citizen concerns, moving along, under old business, does anybody have anything under old business?
I'll just jump in real quick and just the report that I've been talking with the administration on the unleashed dog area. They are working on a location within the city of Perrysburg. One of those locations they actually suggested was Orleans Park. Just as a quick report is that we're continuing to work and have those conversations, and hopefully we can see something here at some point soon.
Thank you, Jonathan. Do you have anything to add, Jen?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Under new business, I have PrAC recommendations. And so funny you should mention Orleans Park, because at the last recreation committee, the last PrAC meeting, they had recommendations that they made. And you have them in front of you. And they actually voted on these. They made some motions. They voted on this about not paving Orleans parking lot, and they also were very strong on that. And they had, I'll go through this in a minute and explain it. It was done by Todd France, who was one of their members. He's their vice chair of the group, and he also ran the meeting. And he did extensive work that he reported. So what I'm reporting to you is what Todd had reported to the PrAC group. And their recommendation was not to pave Orleans Park, the parking lot. They voted on that. Todd France brought up the issues surrounding Orleans Park parking lot. He suggested images and data that displayed usage of the parking lots along the Maumee River during the week of April, considered peak season for walleye fishermen. He counted and made a daily chart of license plates that are Wood County, non-Wood County, and unknown that used Maple Street Docks, Hood Park, Orleans Park, Fort Meigs parking lot, and Davis Overlook. Under Maple Street Docks, you'll all notice it says he counted the number of Wood County. It says next to it 87. By that it means anybody who's 87, or the State Highway Patrol Post is known as 87 for Wood County, so that's what that is. He counted 6, and then he counted on non-Wood County, he counted 21. And then under the unknown, he had 1. Under Hood Park, Wood County, which is the 87 I mentioned to you, he found 1. Non-Wood County, he found 0. Unknown, 0. Under the Orleans Park, bottom part of Orleans Park, he found Wood County 2, non-Wood County 18, unknown 5. Under Orleans Park top, the top part, he found Wood County 87, and he found 1. Non-Wood County, he found 2. Unknown, he found 0. On the Fort Meigs parking lot, which is the Riverwalk, under Wood County, which is the 87 again, he found 0. Under non-Wood County, he found 2. Under unknown, he found 2. Under Davis Overlook, which is Wood County, which is the 87, he found 2. Under non-Wood County, he found 9. Under the unknown, he found 3. Under Buttonwood Park, which is in the township, he's got this in here just to make a comparison for you. Wood County, he found 87, he found 10. He found non-Wood County, he found 65, and unknown, he found 22. He compared his findings of that to Buttonwood Park, which is based in Perrysburg Township. The parking at Buttonwood was the most congested with traffic and parked cars. This area is not paved, but the water in this area is higher than other riverfront access areas, which demonstrates the fact that people are parking in this area, not because it is paved, but because of the depth of the river. The data collected proved most of the cars using the parking lots were either non-residents and men, not women, and children. There were general observations of the people using the riverfront parking lots during the seasonal peak times. It was also mentioned that a majority of the riverfront access parking lots sits along a 100-year floodplain, which is covered with water and ice during the winter months. Therefore, parking these areas would be at risk during an off season, and if done, it would be in jeopardy for repairs annually. He recommended not to pave Orleans parking lot due to these findings and conducted the money would be well spent somewhere else. This was voted on and passed and recommended to the Recreation Committee, which is us. Other recommendations were the recommendations to open the public bathrooms in the parks, and they voted on that. They did make a recommendation to put a natural walking path around Three Meadows, which was suggested, and they did not vote on that one. And a little bit more on what Todd was talking about. You all have these in front of you, and they're photographs, and they talk about what Todd was finding when he was doing his work on this. And he emphasized very much that he really did not feel that this was necessary to pave this. And you can see some other things that are mentioned here that I've mentioned before. Pavement does not impact the fishing and parking. He actually talked to a gentleman who said he had wondered if he would prefer to have something like this at Orleans Park. And the gentleman said, "It doesn't matter to me, really. I don't live here. I'm not really interested." So the discussion among those in Pratt was they felt very strongly that this should be taken out of the budget and not be paved. So I'm just passing on the recommendations to this committee. I would like to make a recommendation on behalf of what they did and send it to the Finance Committee.
I don't approve of this. First of all, this is statistically invalid report. It's one day, doesn't take into consideration, first of all, let me back up. I like to thank him for his work, and I appreciate the concern. First of all, we're paving it for zoning, not necessarily for this. Second of all, I find this statistically invalid because it's one day and one particular time, not weekend, not multi-seasonal, not during a week or weekends or whatever, and that alone makes it statistically invalid. Third, one of my paving projects was access by Fort Meigs, the fishing access,
Yes.
2012. And it's still in very good shape, and that was flooded when we had all that ice damage, and there was no damage to the pavement whatsoever.
Okay, well, I think the concern was, they were very concerned about the staff.
And I appreciate it, but it's,
And I'm just passing it on to the committee in their recommendations. I think in respecting the group, they did take time when I listened to it, and if you see the tape, I do have it online,
that's
for people
fine.
to view. They did a lot of work on this. Todd is an engineer, and he does understand what he's
Then you
talking
should
about.
know that one day does not a survey make. You need a variety of days, you need a variety of
Well-
times, you need a variety of seasons. And if he was any kind of engineer, he would know that.
Well-
And second of all, as I said,
I think he is a pretty good engineer,
Well-
from what I understand.
I guess,
I'm not gonna second guess what he does.
I'm not either, but I'm just
I
saying,
think-
to me, this report is statistically invalid. We're doing it, one of the main reasons why we're doing it is because of the zoning rules we have.
Well, we've never, at least as long as I've lived here, and others that I've spoken to, which I would have to agree with the members of PrAC, I was surprised they brought this forward, and quite honestly, I think they have a good point. And we have never, as long as I have lived here, ever paved that parking lot.
I'm not supporting sending a recommendation on the council. You can bring it up in your report and make
Well,
mention.
actually, I'm asking you to bring it to the finance committee.
Oh, well, you could do that too. Doesn't necessarily mean go back on that.
Well, would you
But if it
like
goes
to,
to council,
are you in support of this going to the finance committee? Because that's what I'm asking.
that's not my job, to be in support or not in support of it. Because you sit on the finance, you can bring it up under other business.
Well, I'm just asking if we can make a recommendation to send it to them.
No,
So you would not send it to the finance committee or council?
I would not, no.
Jonathan, do you have thoughts on that?
So the whole reason why the parking lot was suggested to be paved is per our actual code and stuff in our ordinances. The conversation came up primarily from a conversation regarding rotary parking, the non-conforming use of that, and that falls in line with Orleans as well. I appreciate all the work that Todd did, and I do know that this was a recommendation came from PrAC. I know it wasn't unanimous. But I would say that I do not support the decision of not paving this park, especially when there's other things that are going to be continuing to go and upgraded within that park, hopefully, and potentially.
I'm going to have to say that I'm going to say no on this. I'm going to say yes, that I think it should go forward, and I'm going to say that I agree with them on the fact that it should not be paved. It's been flooding down there for years. It's not a secret. And I think Greg Core brought it up within just the last couple of years. It was a mess, and they had to fix the parking lot again. And I believe it was someone else who asked if you could do something with the stone there. I think it was Mr. Giltz, and Greg said that you can. So all these years, it's not been a problem. And I think we could spend $120,000. I mean, I would have to say that I'm in agreement with them. That we could spend $120,000 elsewhere rather than putting in a parking lot. Todd did say when he was giving his report to us that he said that there was a gentleman he spoke to when he spoke to another gentleman, and he said, "Well, why are you asking this? Do you work for a paving company?" And he said, "No, I'm not. I'm completely unbiased on this. I'm just trying to get information." So I think for years something that's not been needed to be done, and it's been okay. You know, we're not really seeing a lot of numbers, and I have yet to see lots of numbers down there. I would have to agree with Todd because I've driven around lots of times as well, and I've seen more numbers over at Buttonwood as well, even though it is in the township, simply because it has more water. The fishermen are more likely to go into the water. And I do have concerns about us doing something that really is more about, it's just a seasonal thing. So I would have to say I agree with them on sending the recommendations to the finance committee. And I was bringing that forward. So that's what I was talking about on that. The other one that I was bringing forward was about opening up the bathrooms in the parks because they all felt strongly about that. So that was the other one that came up. The other recommendation, I'll bring them all up in a row and then go back to them. The other one was about, this was not brought as a vote, it was just brought as a suggestion, was about putting a walking path around Three Meadows Pond. And that came from Tony Wade. He's brought that up before. So I think they came up with some good ideas and some good thoughts. And I would have to say, as a person who goes and represents them, I'm proud of what they do. This was a surprise for me about Orleans Park. And I'd have to say that I agree with what they had to say. And I have to agree with what all the work Todd did. So I would definitely say that we should be sending it to finance and spending the $120,000 elsewhere on a parking lot.
My own statistics report, we have to show more than that, because I'm by there every day, and I see what's in there. There are some days where it's pretty busy, and I'm not talking about fishing season.
Well, he also mentioned that he didn't see any women or children at any place that he went at any of the park, as I mentioned in all the reports.
I don't know when he's going, because last time I was down there, it was just a bunch of different people, women, children.
It was, I'd have to say that all the times that I've been around those areas, I've not seen all that either. I've seen mostly men and boys.
So, and like I said,
Is there something wrong with that?
And there is.
I know.
I'm pointing out the fact of what Todd was making a point on.
And the other thing I object to is, who cares whether or not they're Wood County or not Wood County residents? We would hope that our parks would attract various people from various parts to come and enjoy what we have. And second of all, just because the plate does not say Wood County doesn't mean they don't live here. Maybe they moved in and they have
Well, I think.
So I don't think it matters who uses the
Gene, I
plate.
think the concern was that they want to make the parks, they would like the parks be accessible to Perrysburg residents. I didn't hear anybody say they couldn't come here, but I think that was their concern.
I would be more concerned just having it used for everybody. Than whether or not it was wood or not, but that's kind of.
Okay. So you don't want to send it to the finance. So no one wants to send it to the finance committee but me.
Well, you have every right to bring it up there.
Yeah.
One thing I would, I think that one of the things that hurts Orleans Park, and I did inquire about this when we were talking about paving this a while ago, but the access to the park has always been a troublesome, especially trying to get in and out.
Yeah.
And I believe that part of this as well is going to be smoothing out the entrance and exit ramp so you can get in quicker. And I believe they were talking about working on ways to make it easier to get in and out. I don't know the exact details. I'm not an engineer or an architect or anything like that, but I know that they are looking at some ways to help the traffic flow with there, and I know that that is a problem as to why it may not be utilized to the extent that some of us would believe it could be. And a lot of it has to do with the accessibility, and I think that that is a problem we need to solve, and I believe paving this and some of the additional work that's going to be part of this is going to help solve that.
I agree 100%. Like I said, I run down that road at least twice a week, if not more, sometimes less. And watching cars going in and out, that's for actually the Rapid River Road, is that the name of the one?
Rapid Roads parking lot.
Rapids Road.
That one, both, they have during peak times of the day, they have trouble getting in and out. And so.
Okay. The other one was about, I'd like to make a motion to send the city council to open up the bathrooms.
I object to that because it's a
All the
service
parks.
committee. That's a service
You
committee
want to send it to your
decision.
committee, we could do that.
It's a service committee decision, and we've already brought it up, and we're already working on it.
Okay. Well, they'll be glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we're all in agreement about that. And then the last one was about the suggestion that Tony Wade brought up, although they did not vote on it, which was putting a walking path around Three Meadows Pond, which I think would be kind of a nice thing to do. Maybe make it natural to go along with what's already been done there around the erosion project. How does everybody feel about that? As I mentioned, it was not a motion motion that they voted on, it was a suggestion.
Trying to get an idea of what I'm pulling the map, so.
How do you feel on that?
They could actually do some that excavated stone from the parking lots to repave it and build a pathway around it.
I think he was talking about a walking path.
Yeah.
He's brought the walking path up several times.
I'm not opposed to more paths or making it easier accessibility. I just, I think it's just something we just need the administration where see what we can do.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at it, I see some stuff there, but it also looks like there's tire tracks that go along the back. So I'm wondering with the highway there where the city ends and the highway begins, where right-of-ways are and so forth.
I wonder, I imagine some of those roadways are a result of that work, erosion control work on the pond.
Have you used the pond, or are you familiar with it at all? They used to have years ago, they used to have
I swam there.
the paddle things and things of that nature
I
there.
actually swam there.
And then they did shut it down for a short period of time, as I recall. And I
They
think
used to have that beach there.
and then the fishing tournaments were there as well. So what are your thoughts on that, Jonathan?
And as I said, one walkability that we can add to our parks and to make it more accessible. I'm all in favor of. I just would like to get an idea of what it's going to be, what the cost is.
Right. So do we want to, what are you recommending? What's your thoughts?
Conversation with the administration at this point. I don't think there's anything that we can do.
We could have the discussion in council.
We could, but we still need to find out what the price is going to be and have a conversation with the administration to see if they can get an idea what the cost would be.
Then,
of
and then the
material.
public knows we're discussing it. So, okay. And on the Pratt report, I haven't got a lot to mention on just that in particular. I gave you the crux of what was talked about there. But they also gave their various park reports and items that need to be fixed or attended to. And the other thing that I would mention on there is the next day, we received a resignation from Jessica Kemp, and she's no longer going to be on PrAC. I wish her well. And Mr. France is the vice chair, so I don't know if he will be the chair. I'm not sure what they will decide on their committee. But I just wanted to make mention of that because I forgot to mention Todd France last week that he was the vice chair. And the next meeting will be January 8th, 2021. Does anyone else have anything to add?
Well, I do have one thing I want to bring up. And it goes back, and this might have to, we might have to talk to administration again about this, in light of the swimming pool having reduced people allowed at any one time due to COVID restrictions.
Yes.
Do we want to explore the idea of doing a reduced cost or free for residents?
I don't mind if I interject. I actually had this conversation with the administration, and apparently the restrictions aren't as we first heard.
Oh, okay.
So those restrictions aren't going to be what we initially thought they were going to be.
Okay.
Because I brought this up specifically with Bridget just actually 3 weeks ago. So
Okay, right.
I will add to what you were saying about that. Also, there was an article in the Sentinel Tribune, if anybody saw it, talking about how the pool is going to be opening on June 5th, and it's going to be closing on August 15th. I've had a lot of people, and I think I brought it up before at city council meetings, that people would like to see us, open a bit longer, maybe through Labor Day. And I think the issue has always been about if the YWCA, or I should say the YMCA, who runs it, wishes to do that. So that is something I think we should think about as well.
That was an exception, it was a waiver, giving people to run it.
so
It's YMCA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but getting employees with the YMCA.
Right, so that's something that I think I brought it before, and I think you had mentioned as well in the past.
Yeah.
I think we all would like to see it stay open longer, but from what I understand from the Y when they reported a couple of years ago, because I think I brought this up as well several years ago, and the biggest issue they have is the staffing of the lifeguards. Most of them are high schoolers, and as such, they go back to school around that time, and they have a hard time having enough lifeguards to staff it during after school starts.
Okay, and then the other question that people keep asking me on a regular basis is why, and I will answer it, is why do we constantly have only the city residents? And the answer I received was it was because of the COVID restrictions.
Excuse me, it should be only citizens, Perrysburg citizens with COVID restrictions. Explain to me why a township resident who does not pay full % of their taxes be able to bump a citizen.
Oh, I'm not asking to do that. I'm just making the point of what.
Right, and I agree 100%. I feel sorry for the township, but I'm also pointing that out too.
Well, you make a point, we do pay for the pool.
No, we do.
And we own the pool as the citizens
Right.
and the taxpayers.
I
I'm just
agree.
mentioning that is why we do have more of a restriction on the number of people.
And I
which are the
agree
city
exactly with
residents.
what you said, and I'm in support of that, and I'm sorry about that. You know,
Yeah, I think in the past, we have
We have.
made the residents that are non-residents pay additional.
but, yeah.
You know?
We sell so many passes a year, I believe it's the way it works, and if there's left over, the township can buy it.
I'm not sure how that's working in recent years.
So, but that's one rule that I really am not in favor of ever changing. Our citizens should.
Oh, yes, they should absolutely have first dibs.
And I agree.
There.
I agree 100% with you on that one, because that's nothing would make me more pissed off as a paying taxes to live in Perrysburg. And they chose to live in the township.
That's true. Do you have anything to add to that? No. All right. I'm going to adjourn. Nobody has anything else to say? And I think